sport fans watching around the world. This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Let's get straight into the episode.
Yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun.
Alright y'all, today's a Monday. Mondays are for Docs. Thank you all for clicking or tapping in that start today's spew. As you know, you've read the title of the intro. It's a special episode, episode 80, Swapcast number 8. And we have a very special guest returning to the podcast for the second time. I'm very honoured to having him back on the podcast. He's the young, he's the impressionable, he's the interesting, he's the well thought out and the well viewed podcast episode, Daniel Preez.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me back on this podcast. Obviously doing a Swapcast is like an awesome thing where I get to host it a little bit. Obviously I don't want this to be like an interview as much, conversation, all that stuff, but I've come, like you said, I've come prepared. So I've got stuff to talk about, some content. On my way to like uni and stuff, I've been like listening to other podcasts and I found all this interesting information for you guys to listen to as well. You can take it how you want, apply it to your life if you need. But for me, jumping on this podcast and being with such an amazing person as Doxy.
Get out, dude.
Like, it's just
that's
an amazing,
a wrap. Podcast over.
just an amazing opportunity. So I think this is beautiful and hopefully there'll be more to come after this one. But yeah, so to begin with, how's everything been, mate?
Oh, dude, I'll tell you how it's going right now. And I said to you off camera, and just for everyone listening, I'll say it again. It's the best feeling, sitting down in the seat, not having to think about anything, don't have to prepare. I can just let you take the reins, dude. So as I said in the intro, I'm very, very grateful for you coming and doing this. It's honestly one of my favorite type of things to do, the Swapcast, because for a little bit, I was just like telling people last minute, oh, shit, the person who was meant to isn't able to come over. Can you come over and do it? And then they'd come over and they wouldn't have enough time to prepare or think of anything. So I just take the reins, you know. And I do like taking the reins, so I'll do my best to let you host as much as possible. But that's how I'm feeling right now. Super grateful, super comfortable. I had a nice nap before. And in general, since the last time we sat down, it's been a chaotic. It's been go, go, go. I basically have been living out of a suitcase for almost the entire year, I guess, since January. I've been living out of a suitcase. It's just been Sydney, Canberra, Queensland, Thailand, back to Sydney, Hunter Valley, back to Canberra. Like the longest time I spent in one place is 4 days in a row. And yeah, it's just pack a bag, go to a new spot, wash the clothes, get what needs to get done, pack a bag, new place, get it. It's just insane.
That's hectic, man.
But I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask is like, obviously I've seen on your Instagram stories and shit. How was Thailand, man?
Thailand was, I'm going to say, compared to the last time I went, I've been twice to Thailand. The first time I went was mayhem, complete madness, but I've been in Thailand, stayed in Thailand. That's all I'm going to say about the first time I went. it was,
so we can't get the details.
Yeah, the first time, let's just say, honestly, what I realized this time going, being a whole different type of holiday, because obviously I've been sober for almost, I'd say 17 months now and
Hell
stuff
yeah.
like that. So it's been a lot different to when I was younger. This time, and to be honest, shout out to all the boys I went with. You all said that I would be the first person to go to sleep. I was always the last person awake every single night anyway,
Soldier.
even though I was the sober one. So shame on all of you. But this time was a nice trip. That's how I could describe this. Like, it was a good holiday. It was a nice surprise. We went away from my mate Patrick's Bucks party, which was awesome. It was it was an awesome surprise. We got a nice video. I'll show you a video of the whole trip. Shout out to Patrick's brother Mitchell. He recorded every day. He recorded different clips and then started to edit it day by day by
So you
day.
got like complication of your whole trip?
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah. It was.
I'd love to watch that.
Oh man, it was awesome, and he did a really good job. It was basically done the day after we got back because he did it every day, and yeah. So we surprised him, took him to the airport, took the blindfold off. First, we took him to the Salvation Army, put him in a dress, took him out to the city, made him walk around. We went bowling in a dress. And we get to the airport, rip the bag off his head. We go on to Thailand. It was awesome. And then we go in there and I say, we're going to check in and it's not working on the automatic self-check-ins.
Oh, no.
So then I go find some staff, ask for help, and they say, there is no flight to Thailand today. I say, there is. I've got it. The email's right here. It's leaving in 3 hours. They say, no, they're not. There's no flight. They checked the flight number and it left that morning.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how did this possibly happen? I'm going through emails. It's still my check-in time. It's saying it's 9:40 the flight, but then the plane left at 11:30 a.m. So everyone's just bummed out. You know, we're at the airport, like 10 boys, like this sucks, and everyone's in my ear going off all this. So I just told everyone, sit down, relax. I walked away from everyone for about an hour. I said, I'll be back when it's finished. I came back, talked to some staff. They explained that if you do get to the second country, which the interconnecting flight was from Malaysia, your next flight has been delayed when you get there. So if you try and get there in time. So I found a flight, purchased 10 sets of tickets to fly everyone to Malaysia, got there. And then when we get there, they explained to us that because you didn't catch the first flight, you can't catch the second flight. So then we're stuck in Malaysia now. And by the time we got to Malaysia, it's already been a long trip. Now we're stuck in Malaysia for another, I don't know how long, 12 hours or something. Shit. And then we had to purchase another set of flights for 10 lads to go from Malaysia to Singapore and then from Singapore to Thailand. So our entire,
yuck, bro.
Dude, our trip was like 30 something hours, 36 hours or something.
But with your tickets and stuff, you lost all that money on that?
So they explained to me when I was in Malaysia, they're like, just have to let everyone know, AirAsia is the fucking shittest company ever. Like, I will never fly with AirAsia again. We called a Malaysia Air to Malaysia. The Malaysia Air was the best plane. Like, it was comfortable. There was TVs, there was fucking pillows, blankets. Mad. AirAsia just screwed us over. So they said to me while I was there, oh yeah, it looks like we made the mistake, so we'll refund you for this. So they started the process. And it was a bit hard. They were all foreign language and stuff.
Yeah.
Let me make sure this is on. I could have got a little bit of panic then. And they were like, yep. So I saw the emails that said, you know, process has been started to refund, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as we leave, I get an email saying, we are not going to refund this. Please turn this back around on the booking agency. So then I couldn't get in contact with the booking agency since we got back. They're not answering, responding to emails, nothing. So then I've tried to go through travel insurance. Travel insurance turned around and said no. But then they referred me to a booking agency rep, and the booking agency rep said, we'll look into it for you. So that's as far as we've gotten. We'll look into it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But in terms of, obviously you said you had a hectic few months traveling everywhere.
Yeah.
Would you say that this trip to Thailand was like a way to relax your soul a little bit? Because obviously you had a lot of stress and a lot of, you know, being active, there, bang, bang, bang. Was this a good way to like relax and finally like reset your soul and come back refreshed?
I would say yes. Not in a terms of I needed the meditative mindset of doing nothing. It was the things that I was doing while I was there that gave me a nice break from consistent grind. Like it was nice to kind of let go of not just your own constructs of what you think you need to do, but also societal pressures and law constricting rules and all these things. Because when you go to Thailand, it's almost a free for all. So say for example, we hired mopeds for the whole week, and my bike was hitting 110, 120, and there ain't no road rules. Like we're on the other side of the road. Like I'm just driving footpaths over roundabouts. You're just cutting in between cars and buses nonstop. And that was a good experience because it kind of was like a taste of freedom, you know what I mean? And freedom isn't something that I always get because I'm always pushing myself to do what needs to be done. So I'm kind of trapped in my own mindset, not just freedom from police force, New South Wales, you know. So that was, I guess it was a nice break. And all in all, it was a nice trip because unlike, as I said, the first time we went, this time we went snorkeling for one of the days and we went on a mad boat tour, and the boat was awesome, but you know, everything over there is dodgy as. So you go on this boat that holds like 30, 40 people, hitting like 15 knots as fast as you can through the ocean, getting airborne, trying to go from one island to another.
Wow. Getting
back, you feel your discs and your back start to pop out one by one every time, like almost like spitting watermelon seeds out of your mouth. But yeah, it was a nice trip, bro. As I said, like it was awesome to do it with the lads. Good group of guys we went with. So yeah, I'd say it was a nice relaxation. Yeah.
I was also interested in understanding like that feeling of on the moped when you're zigging, like flying down the motorway or whatever.
Yeah.
Going between cars. Right now I've got a personal situation that's going on. I was just interested in like understanding what is that like just flying. What's that feeling behind that wheel, just zigging through, knowing that if you make a mistake, your life's over?
Honestly, it doesn't feel as dangerous as it may seem. Obviously, when you're hitting 110, 115, yeah, that's the dangerous part of it. But you're not going to do that too much. You're not going to do that. You're in charge of your own health and your own safety anyway. So I'm not as reckless and relentless and stupid to do it. Say, for example, driving through peak hour traffic in Norwest Boulevard, hitting 110, trying to avoid buses and shit like that. But I wouldn't say it felt unsafe. I would say it felt free more than anything.
Yeah.
For example, one time I was driving back from Victoria and I hit 175 at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And that feels dangerous as fuck. Even though you're in a car and you feel safe and there's no one on the road, going that fast makes you feel a bit like shit. Yeah. But when you're in a place like Thailand and everyone's aware of the fact that all these dumb tourists have got mopeds, everyone that's a local is fucking like shit.
On edge, yeah.
They're the ones who are feeling like, so we can do whatever we want because everyone abides by us. As opposed to now, as you can imagine a cyclist on the side of the road, if you're driving through Sydney, you're like, fucking dickhead, you know what I mean? You just fucking speed past the fucking cyclist. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think it felt too unsafe.
Okay.
So how would you relate that to what you were thinking?
So right now I've got obviously a personal stuff happening with my family where I think my younger brother has bought a motorbike, and he's only 16. He's only just got his license, and none of the family want him having it. He's decided that obviously he's prioritized the motorbike over a relationship with the family, I suppose. But that's because I'm just trying to understand where he's coming from, and I feel like he's going through a lot. He's 16. I don't think he has the best friends around him, and he feels a bit alone. And his motorbike is like his way of just escaping, and just when you're speeding or just flying on this motorbike that can end at any second, I think you're in all of the entire world just revolves around what's in front of you on that bike. Just nothing else but just driving, flying down this road, which I think is his way of finding his pace and being able to cope with all the right now he probably feels like the world's dragging him down, and this is his way of getting back on his feet for a moment, or at least feeling a momentary happiness, which can also be a form of like addiction or a drug, whatever. Like you can relate flying on a motorbike to a drug. Yeah. Because it absolutely just allows you to escape everything. Like a lot of things, like definitely I would relate it to drugs, because drugs allow you to completely just be in the moment, and you can obviously have bad trips and you think about everything, and but in the moment you're just kind of like for instance with weed or whatever, you're just kind of just taking in the world around you. Yeah. You don't worry about the assignments that do, all these expectations of you. You're just kind of in the moment and just relaxed. So I feel like right now, obviously it's caused family turmoil and all that stuff. But I do think that he would prioritize the motorbike over relationships right now, just because the motorbike is allowing him to feel that high compared to anything else in life. Yeah. So I understand it, but obviously I need to have that chat with him. Like I need him to understand, like, you've built a lot in your life. He's built himself. He's huge. He's got a great temple, like a great body. And just one little accident and you've thrown it all away. Yeah. And also those are relationships that you haven't technically, like, you've kind of discarded a little bit. They will be the ones that are going to have to take care of you when you're in hospital and when you're recovering from that accident. Yeah. And I find that a lot of people that have motorbikes, they only stop once they've been in that accident. I've got my mate Steven, you know what happened. He was flying on his motorbike and he hit a truck and he flew. He should have died, but he's just broken his legs, and now he's finally recovered. He's playing soccer with me this year at Quakers Juniors, so that's dope. Yeah. Playing first grade, so we're back on top of the the world. Yeah. But like in that moment, anything different that could have happened, he would have been dead. Yeah. And then what? You affect everyone around you. Yeah. And I feel like it's just the moment. It's just the age he's in, where he doesn't fully understand how other people think. Well, he hasn't matured in that regard, so he's just thinking about himself, I suppose. Which I understand. I was like that, just not to that extreme. Like I would be out every night. I was never home. That caused, I had my own turmoil with the family because I was just never home and around to help the family out. And my sister, she had her own things going on. But I feel like now that we've grown, after 18, I feels like when your brain fully develops and you start being more aware of everyone and caring about everyone else and providing, that's when you get out of that selfish stage and you start to understand that you need to support and become the person that can bless other people.
I think that being 16, and especially getting a bike as well, unfortunately, doesn't matter what anyone says, it's not going to make a difference. Like, it's like that for me, as you said yourself, you went through your own personal things with your parents being out all the time and stuff like that. I was exactly the same. There was nothing anyone could do or say to me at that age. And to be honest, it's the same at this age too. It's not what anyone's going to say to me to make me think any differently. I think that support is the only thing that ever strives above everything else. I think that just knowing that your brother's going to do what he wants to do, yes, it's unsafe. You can still be worried and risky about and care for it and try and convince him out of it. But at the end of the day, having a brother is more important than letting go of a brother because of a situation that he's deciding to do. You know what I mean? I know you're not going to cut him out of your life, but I'm trying to work out how I want to word this. Say, for example, I know someone recently who went through a bit of a argument with someone they really cared about. I'm not going to say who it is. And they basically just decided they're not going to talk anymore. I've done the same thing with one of my best mates. We got into an argument and we're like, we've been best mates for 20 years. And we're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not going to talk anymore. It took about 35 days for one of us to eventually pick up the phone and call the other person and just say, look, dude, I'm sorry. You win, let's just fucking get over it. And then it's like, the other person's just like, I didn't win, dude. Like, I just wish we never argued in the first place. We didn't need to carry on with this mindset just because of something so stupid and irrelevant. So I don't know if turning your back on someone is ever going to be the answer in order to get someone to change.
Yeah.
I think that the more love that you have inside any relationship is going to help other things like empathy, and then love can be transmuted back towards someone else, and then they can start caring more. If someone, for example, for me, tells me don't do something, and then I go ahead and do it, and they turn around and they're just like, you know what, fuck you, then it's like, you know what, fuck you too. I know we said we weren't going to swear as much on this podcast, but sometimes I can't help it. That's what you said, yeah. I just, especially being 16, dude, I think there's nothing that the world can do to change him. It's completely legal to be doing it. It's safe enough from the government's perspective to allow it. And yeah, I think you just have to have faith above anything else. Just faith, yeah.
Like I said in the last podcast, obviously, you can, like, away from the whole situation with my brother, but like if someone's going through with drugs or depression, like there's nothing you can say that will, obviously you can help them, but obviously you can't change how they think. It's going to be their decision to make. But obviously, back to my brother, I'm just going to have to say my piece, just say what I think. And obviously I'm going to tell him I'm going to be there for you all the time. But obviously you're causing a lot of strain in everyone else's heart because everyone loves you.
Yeah.
And obviously every night we're just thinking like, what is he doing on his bike? Is he going to be okay? Am I going to get that call that he's in hospital?
Yeah.
Or dead,
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to think about. This is my little brother, like.
Yeah.
My little brother's my fucking,
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I can't picture a world without him, eh?
I've got a little brother too, and it's unbreakable, the bond. And unfortunately, if it was my little brother and he was out doing things, and he does do things that I'm not particularly okay with, if he asked me, do I have your approval to do it or not, I'd say no, but he's obviously his own individual. He's going to do things without asking me my opinion. I just have to let him do it. I was having this conversation with my dad only last Saturday, where him and I were talking about the fact that there's nothing that he could have ever said to me to stop me from doing the things I was going to do, just like his father before him. And his father before him was military grade authority. That's it, everybody. Like, fucking, what's this doing here? What's that doing here? Blah, blah, blah. What's this doing dirty? Like, every day he'd come home and it'd just be drill sergeant. And my dad rebelled. He did.
Of course.
When my dad raised me, it was almost the opposite in a sense, where he allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do at all times. And then when things got way out of hand, he would kind of like talk to me about it. But it didn't stop me from doing anything. Yeah. I would still rebel. So there was two completely different ways of raising a child, especially a young man, in the same bloodline of descendant, you know,
Yeah.
but nothing worked. There's nothing, and I know when I have my own children, and I've always been preparing for this, there's nothing that anyone can, I will never be able to stop someone from growing into the person they want to be. All I can do is help mold them into the person they want to be. I heard this quote once that said, raising a child or caring for someone in general, doesn't have to be just raising a child, it can be a brother, it can be a friend, it can be anyone, is they're driving their own vehicle. Your job is not to drive their car. Your job is to steer them back on course if they ever fall off, if they ever steer off course. Your job is just to grab the steering wheel and do your best to come back into the lane. It's almost like an L plater and a driver instructor. They're driving their own vehicle. You'll never be able to stop them from accelerating as fast as they want to go, braking whenever they shouldn't be braking, and spinning the steering wheel out of control. Your job as the passenger is just to quickly help them as much as you can, but they're still driving the car. So, yeah, that's all I can say on that. And the point on addiction too, I think that racing around in anything, whether it's a car, whether it's a bike, whether it's anything, that is 100% a form of drug. That's an addiction. That's something that's a rush. That's a thrill. I think that's why fighter pilots become fighter pilots, because they want to go faster and faster and faster.
Exactly.
It all just comes from, in my opinion, age and maturity. The older you get and the more you start to realize the impact you can have by making wrong decisions, then the better decisions you're going to make. And the only way to learn the impact of your decisions is to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made every mistake. I've done I've got in trouble for everything you can get in trouble for. I've hurt everyone that I can possibly hurt. I've hurt myself, I've hurt the people I care about. I've said the wrong things. I've done the wrong things. I've ruined opportunities. I've missed opportunities. And every single one of those things I'm grateful for, because I've learnt from doing them. So when other people are doing them, I'm just like, it's almost like heartbreak. When someone goes through heartbreak, I'm like, feel bad for you, bro, but it's all going to be uphill from here. You know what I mean? You now know what you didn't know before. So that's all I can, that's my whole opinion on that. Yeah.
That's another interesting thing, because I realized, like, being a parent is very difficult. Obviously, my girlfriend and her family are complete opposites to how my family raised me. They were very strict, and because they were so strict, it put us in boxes, and all we want to do was, rebel, escape. That's why we went through such big rebellion stages. Whereas Kira, my girlfriend Kira, compared to her family, it's very...
That's crazy how our girlfriends are both named Kira.
Oh, serious? That's dope, bro. That's dope.
Maybe it's the same girl.
Well, not. But yeah, that's cracker. Yeah, but with her family, it's real chill. You can do what you want. Obviously, the parents are still on it, and I love her parents. They are awesome. But obviously, it's just completely different worlds. And obviously, I feel like when kids are left to their own devices, they pick up bad habits if they're not, corrected or shown the better way. Because obviously, if you're the parent, you've gone through all this. You know what they should or shouldn't do, diet, whatever. And obviously, I see the both worlds of it. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, where's the middle ground? Where's that perfect parenting? Let them do what they want, but also be on top of it at the same time. It's a delicate,
dude, I know what you mean, bro. That's so hard to work out. I will never work it out. Trust me. It's one of those things that no one can ever work out. I think that what I've learned in watching the whole idea of caring for anyone or raising anyone, doesn't matter if it's children or not, or just being someone for people to look up to, is it's all about leading by example. I don't think that anyone will ever listen if someone tells them what to do. Let me restart by saying that. A very few amount of people listen when someone tells them what to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I remember being back in school, there's always going to be the kids in class are just I guess you call them the teacher's pets or the nerds or whatever. Yeah. They do whatever they're told needs to be done. But a majority of people do what needs to be done in order to let the other person think they're doing everything that they're being told. It's almost like deception. Everyone's playing a game of deception, but they don't want to be told what to do. No one likes being told what to do. But I think that if you lead by example, that's the only way to raise people to be the person you want them to be, or lift up apprentices at work. I can't tell an apprentice what to do, and my tradesman can't necessarily tell me what to do. My job runners can't tell me what to do. unless they're doing it themselves. Like that's where I get all my respect from. Someone who shows me how to do something. Someone who, if I want someone else to sweep the floor, I better be prepared to pick up a broom and start sweeping with them. If someone just told me in any job or any career or any path, school, parents, anyone, if someone just says, do this, and I say, why? And they say, because I told you, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. If they say, do this, and I say, why? And they say, because this is what we do, then it's like, oh, okay, this is what we do. You know?
Yeah, it's more, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that I found that was, so obviously I was listening to that other podcast, which is it was amazing.
What's the podcast?
I have to tell you after. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But he's interviewed like Will Smith, Michelle Obama, like all these famous. He's top 4 podcasts in the world.
He was a monk. He was a monk.
He's Indian or brown.
Yeah, he used to be a monk.
He's got an awesome voice.
Yeah. He's a monk who wrote a book on, not psychiatry, but mental health and awareness. He got his fame through writing this amazing book that helped people get out of depression and things like that. But he was a monk, I think, for like 10 or 15 years, I think.
I don't know.
And then he ended up learning about all these things to help people deal with their problems and things like that. And then he's turned that fame into running a podcast now. Awesome channel. Like, I'll put a link in the description for that. He did one with Tom Holland. Have you seen that one?
No, not yet.
That's a great one.
That's a great one?
That's phenomenal. One of the best interviews ever.
I'll have to listen to that one.
Yeah.
But what I learned from him is that when I was younger, I think a lot of people have gone through this stage where they think when it comes to helping someone, they think that they have to be the perfect person. They need to be perfect in order to help other people. But what I learned from this guy is that it's actually the people that are imperfect. It's the people that have, let's say if someone's going through depression or going through some drug abuse or whatever, it's the people that have gone through it and overcome and come out of it. Like the people that aren't perfect. The people that have gone through those lows are the perfect people to help those people because you're helping your younger yourself, your old self.
That is such a powerful thing to say. And someone mentioned to me, Joshua Saunders mentioned it to me actually when we did our second podcast. He said that someone gave him advice when he was making his content to make his content and speak to the version of him from 5 years ago. And that's how he started to run his channel for a very long time on Instagram. And it is blown up, and he runs an amazing jiu-jitsu program where he trains younger people or even older people with less experience than him to get to the position he's at. He can't talk of it from a mindset into the person he is today. He has to talk to himself when he started doing it.
Exactly right.
And that makes so much sense that the people who are the best helpers are the people who are talking to themselves when they were younger in their position.
Because so you have all the tools, and obviously you've overcome it and you're out of it. You have all the tools and methods and all those skills to overcome and come out of it. So you're the perfect person to equip this person with those skills so that they can come out of it themselves. So I thought that was beautiful.
That's it, bro. Everything that guy speaks is wisdom. I really, really, really enjoy it. And I couldn't recommend anyone anymore and to click that link in the description because it's just, I'll put the Tom Holland one in particular, but I'll also put a link to his channel on there as well. And speaking on that in itself, I think that because I'm aware of that, I think that that's why I consider myself, and I also do get the feedback from others as well, which helps, that I'm very relatable. And I do find that I can make good relationships with people. And it's because of the fact that I've made every mistake and I've been through a lot of situations and I've felt a lot of different emotions and wouldn't call it suffered, but I've momentarily suffered experiences. You know, I wouldn't look back on my life and say it's been miserable, but there's been, oh my gosh, I couldn't even count how many times where I've been in a moment and I thought this is the end of existence. This is the end of the world. Like, not necessarily like I'm going to kill myself, but along those lines of like mad depression, mad mourning, mad loss, mad heartbreak, mad this, mad that, mad regret. So now that I'm older and I've experienced what they're like, and I know from experience that when people come to me and ask me for advice, I can give them good advice. I'm almost grateful now in a really weird, I would say psychotic way.
Like where you're going with this?
For the hardships that life has to offer me, because yes, it's something that's inevitable anyway, so I may as well choose to deal with it and ride this out. But I know after every rain comes a rainbow. You know what I mean? Right.
Well, what I've found is that, like you said, all those turmoils or points of like low, I think are beautiful. Like looking back at it, if I didn't have all those terrible things happening to me, I wouldn't become the man that I was now. Because if you're able to get yourself out of that low, you become more refined, you're more skilled, more understanding, and you grow as a person. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to go through hardship. Everyone's so scared of it. I think it's beautiful. I think that's how you become the adult, the grown up, grow up as a person.
Yeah.
'Cause you need to go through those, situations.
Yeah.
What I've also found is, I want to ask you a question. How
Yeah.
would you overcome adversity? This is what my mate asked me today when I came to the haircut. I'm like, what's the question I should ask
Yeah.
you?
All
He's
right,
like,
well-
how would you overcome adversity?
All right. Well, I heard this on a podcast maybe 2 nights. No, it might have only been 2 podcasts ago that I listened to this. And just for the record, for everyone who wants to be updated on my journey, I'm on Joe Rogan episode 464. So I've done a pretty good stint, and I've still got 4 more months until I've hit 1 year. So I reckon I might be able to hit episode 600-700 in 1 year. So I'm pretty happy with that. But I think it was like 461. Joe Rogan was talking about, and it was actually with the author Robert Greene. You ever heard of Robert Greene? No. He wrote some awesome books, and it was a good podcast to listen to because I just finished another book of his called Laws of Human Nature. But he wrote like the laws of human nature. He wrote the mastery. He wrote one called Laws of Power, the 41 Laws of Power or something, 43 Laws of Power. Anyway, he's written some amazing books. But anyway, in that podcast, he was saying that it's good to be able to step back and not take much ego and pride and carry yourself too high when it comes to admitting that you don't understand information. And I have no idea what adversity means. So I'm happy to say that. What the hell's adversity mean?
Adversity is like when you're in a situation, there's all these different factors that are causing you to...
Should we Google it?
Yeah, we need to Google it real quick, eh? I don't want to give a shit definition, eh?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll Google it instead. So, all right. Adversity means a difficult or unpleasant situation. How do you deal with a difficult or unpleasant situation? In a simple term, I'll answer it simply because I know that you'll probably be able to ask me some more intense situations. Driving home or driving around or going from place to place, even state to state, as much as I've been doing recently and getting as minimal sleep as it needs to be happen sometimes, I would consider this to be a form of adversity. It's situations that are unpleasant at a lot of the time, especially when you look down, it's 4:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning and you've got 3.5 hours to drive. You know you've got this plan for this night, this plan for that night, and you're like, oh man, all right, let's just lock in right now. How I've been dealing with situation-based adversity is I just tell myself at all times, this is what you're doing. There's no need to complain about anything because this is what I'm doing. And I do not go any deeper on that thought. As soon as I think it, that's it.
So you're trying to simplify it?
Yeah, I simplify it as simple as I can. If I'm driving and I can see I've got 3.5 hours to drive, there's no one on the road, I'm bored, I've been listening to podcasts for a week straight, I can't be bothered listening to anyone, there's no one to call because it's so early in the morning, I'm by myself. All I tell myself is, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then there's no need to be like complain. There's no need to complain because I guess complaining would be wishing you weren't doing it. You know what I mean? That's probably what complaining comes from, wanting to be out of the situation. But if I just tell myself this is what I'm doing, then there's no need to, but, I can't control that.
Yeah.
This is like, it's like waking up and being like, I only have 2 legs. How much easier would it be if I had 4? You know what I mean? I could run so much faster. It's like waking up and being like, 10 fingers is pretty good, but if I had 20, imagine how much stuff I could get done. There's no need to complain because this is what it is.
Yeah.
So I just tell myself in that, and it's a simple form of adversity, like driving or something like that. But if you have any deeper versions, just don't be shy to ask.
So how I've taken it is, so how do you overcome adversity? I think it's like, what coping mechanisms do you use? So you use the way of just simplifying everything, clearing out all those extra thoughts, just focus on the task at hand. It might be very difficult, but at least it's just a task. You just need to get it done.
Yeah.
You don't need to think about all the deadlines and all these other things. You just need to get it done. So that's your way of... Do you have any other coping mechanisms? Because I find that...
I would just if you hit me with an example, I might be able to tell you one, like when it comes to adversity, like I'm going to try and think of one. Say, for example, someone says something to me that I don't like or upsets me or something like that. Is that a form of adversity?
Yeah, anything like if someone's passed away or something that's caused you turmoil or like heartache or whatever. How do you overcome? What coping mechanisms do you use?
Passed away is a good example. I'll start by the one because there's all I guess overcoming adversity comes from nothing more than experience, just like we were talking about before. So what I've learned now through dealing with adversity is that everything is its own individual thing. You can't attack every situation with the same mindset. If you could, life would be pretty routine-based, robot simulated boringness. And that's the kind of the beauty in adversity, I guess, because there's so many. I heard this quote. I'm going to mention this. This was from who's that really motivational speaker? Tony Robertson. You ever heard of Tony Robertson? He's a champion. He's written awesome books. He's got the deep voice. He's got the biggest head. Like he's this mad inspirational guy who just knows how to speak to people who need to hear it. And he said, there's two different types of people in this world. There's people that he used it in a religious format. So I'm going to try and do it as relatable as possible. But he said, imagine that there was two different types of people and one person walked around all day and was saying like, oh man, like imagine I'm going to try and rephrase this. I'm trying to remember what he said, but imagine God came down to earth and met two different types of people. And one person said to God, like, I don't understand. Like you made this life for us to live in, but it's always so hot. Like I'm always sweating. And then when it's not too hot, I'm always so cold. Like why couldn't you have just made it comfortable? And then on top of that, like, look at all these things that can hurt me. Like there's all these bugs and spiders and things like that I'm just constantly trying to avoid from biting me. And then the amount of people that are just complete arseholes, they're always coming my way and I'm always trying to fight off all these negative people in my life. Like, why would you do this? And then the other type of person that God meets says, what an amazing job you've done at this life. The weather's always changing, so I'm always getting to change different outfits. I never have to wear the same thing every day. I can go from wearing a jumper to wearing a singlet. That's awesome. On top of that, look at the crazy creatures you've created. You've created these ants that have this insane bite. Like, how could something so small have such an immense pressure behind its claw? And then look at all these challenging people you keep sending my way. You've sent me all these people that have different opinions and different objections and all these different people to try and challenge me. I'm growing so much as an individual because of the type of world that you've created. So what he said in this metaphor was, who do you think God would want to spend the most time with? Would he want to help the life of the person that's always complaining, or would he want to spend as much time with the person who's grateful for the gift that he's been given? And I'm referring that to a form of adversity as well, where it's not a bad thing that life is sending you all these challenges, because from each individual one you can grow in a different way. So back to how you asked the question, how I'm going to answer it would be in a form of someone treating me like shit, someone saying something I don't want to hear. I do my best to take what they're saying into consideration and let my ego go. Okay, they might be onto something. That's my first initial reaction is, how dare you speak to me like that? But before I let that come out of my mouth, because it's good to act on your logic instead of your impulses, I like to assess maybe they're onto something, and then I'm happy to sit back, assess what they say, have the discussion about it, or change my habits if it's affecting them badly. Loss is a completely different one than that, because I experienced loss the first time majorly in my life when my best mate committed suicide. I was 23 and the news just shattered every part of your body. And I could have chosen to go down that route of the person who sat around and complained all day about the situation that life's given me. But instead, I decided to just be grateful for the opportunity I got to spend with that person while they were here, because everything that person embodied and represents in my life is good. It's happiness, it's having a good time, it's enjoying life, and I wouldn't be the person I am today without that person. But since then, I've also learned that since he's passed away, he has taught me so much more about life than he ever did while he was alive. That's the gift in which he gave me, and it sounds horrible to say and it feels horrible to say, but I'm not grateful for the fact that he committed suicide. I'm grateful for the fact that there is a benefit in which someone doing something so horrible could have made a difference, you know? It's still the worst thing in the world. There's nothing that could change that from being what it is. But it has also, there's lessons to come from it if you want to look at glass half full as opposed to glass half empty.
That's what I was talking about in the last podcast where I was saying you need to have a positive outlook. Like for me, every negative situation, I try and find the positive aspects of it. That's what you've done. I think that is a coping mechanism in itself.
Yeah.
Like being out, like suicide is probably the worst thing that can
By
happen
far,
to you.
yeah, worst thing.
But from that, you've been able to find the positive aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like I know it's a very small one compared to the negative impact on it on your life, but it's just beautiful that you're able to find the positive side of that.
I see it. Sorry to cut you off, but I see it almost as if there's a giant bundle of hay, just a boring, dry bundle of hay. But there's no animals to be eating this hay. It just takes up all this land, right? It's just a waste of space. But inside of that hay, you can see a glisten of one thing. It's almost like a diamond that's been hidden within this hay. And it's like the impact of the hay compared to the diamond is so much bigger. There's nothing can ever take away from the fact that this hay exists, which is the sadness, I'm referring as a metaphor, to in which someone committed suicide. But if you stare at it for long enough, you don't have to focus on that. You can focus on that glisten instead, you know? It's a lot smaller and it's nothing compared to the size, but why let your eyes focus on the big thing when you can just be focusing on that brightness inside of it, you know? Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
So I guess I didn't realize, but that is how I overcome adversity. I always try and look for the lesson. There's no such thing as there's no such thing as take a loss. Every L that I've ever taken in my life stands for the lesson I've learned in doing so.
But
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's a Doxy original, that one.
Yeah, that's exactly what, that's the great way of answering it, mate. The other thing, another topic I want to talk about. How do you deal with stress? Because what I learned from that same podcast again, there's two types of stress. And I know that a lot of people, when they're like, assignments is probably the most common one because half the people go to uni. But when it comes to assignments and stuff, everyone is under so much stress, they hate it. And normally they would close their laptop, do something else to take their mind off it. But there's two types of stress. And I learned there's something called eustress, which is EU stress, which is a positive, it motivates you to get things done. And then there's distress, which is a negative way of thinking you can't get things done. You're thinking you're not good enough. There's just a way of understanding which stress is impacting you and then utilizing on it. If it's distress, you need to take a break. If it's eustress, people don't really know the difference. But when it's eustress, utilize that because that's when you're going to be the most productive. What I've realized is when it comes closer to like deadlines, because I used to leave everything last minute. People that know me that.
Yeah.
That I do that. But when I leave for the last minute, like sometimes it would be really bad for my health or whatever because I'm stressing so much. I've spent a whole night doing it. But I realized in those moments, I've got the most done compared to a whole week's worth of work.
Yeah.
In that few hours, I've smashed out everything I needed to do to get it done. So I think there's a way of, if you can figure out what the difference is, oh man, you're going to be so effective in life. Like you can take it in any aspect of your life.
Yeah, good. I like that too. And I kind of didn't realize until you're saying it now, but there is two forms of stress that I am at the moment dealing with. The first one being I completely understand new stress. Look at last week, for example, in my life. I had no episode for the week. The podcast is a priority. It has to get out. I have not missed a week yet. This is episode 80. It will be out this week. I'm fucking super happy that it's been 80 weeks in a row. Episode 79 gets cancelled multiple times leading up to these weeks leading up. And then the only way to get this episode done was to get it done on the Sunday. We started filming at 10:30 a.m. on the Sunday. I had to leave to go to Canberra at 5:45 p.m. that afternoon. So I had a 7-hour window to get it filmed, recorded, uploaded, processed, synced up, edited, rendered, uploaded.
How amazing is this guy, by the way?
Dude, and you know what? I've done similar versions of that before. I don't enjoy it, but that stress is what pushed that episode to come out. And I'm stoked with it. I think it was done nicely. I didn't rush it. I took my time. I went back. I checked it. it's a phenomenon that a lot of writers and authors experience too, where if they've been given a contract they've already made one well-published book, they've been told, all right, we'll go ahead and we'll promote your second book. If you want to write another one, it could be a series, it could be a different form of education, something similar. But they say, right, we'll give you our publishing. So they'll start writing. They might be writing for 6 months, they might be writing for a year, they might be writing for 2 or 3 years. But then the publisher will turn around and say, because they need their money, they're still operating business, they're paying this author to write, they're also waiting on money to come in by selling this book, so they're not making any profit. So they say, right, you've got 2 months to get this book done. And the author's like, I've only written 8 out of 12 chapters and it's taken me 2 years. And then they're like, sorry, my phone's ringing, it's distracting me. And then they say, so too bad, you've only got 2 months to get this done. In those 2 months, the last 4 chapters of that book that they wrote were the most incredible chapters out of all of them because there was that stress. And I think that you're right. A lot of people don't know how to utilize a deadline or utilize a certain amount of pressure, because pressure is what really creates the best version of you.
Exactly.
The other version of stress, I haven't yet worked out a way to deal with it other than ignore it, because I would say that the other version of stress would come from something that you can't change. It would be waiting for an answer. It would be the unknown realities of what could happen if something hasn't happened, if you haven't done the thing yet. So you don't know the repercussions.
Exactly.
I think that's the other version of stress. So the only way I deal with that is I do not even talk about it. Like I wait. There's nothing I can do. I don't want to talk to people about it. I don't want to discuss it. I might want to get it off my chest once every couple weeks, just this is affecting me. And then if the other person understands and they're able to just be like, yeah, that is frustrating. If they know the right thing to say, it's let's just wait. That's the best way to deal with that version of stress, because there's nothing I can do to change it. Yeah.
And that's, again, your skill of simplifying everything. You're able to just clear all the fog. Like that's like the arrow I told you about my tattoo. Yeah. You got all this darkness around you, but what you've been able to do is pierce through it and just find the light, find the simple thing. Don't let all this darkness, affect your mindset, and you don't dwell on it. You just either turn on that fan, blow all that darkness away, just see the gem. Yeah. That's how you've been able to deal with all of it. And I'm going to adopt that as well. Yeah. I think that it's kind of funny. I've been thinking about this for the last, call it 24 hours. It's that I know that a big practice that the world tries to take in is enlightenment. That's why people meditate. That's why people go monk and they just live in the Himalayas. That's why people have been practicing forms like yoga for literally thousands and thousands of years. Like the whole reason for all these isolation tanks and deep psychedelic experiences is to become completely present. I think that when you're living I heard someone else say this, I think on TikTok the other day, if you're living in the past, you're living in depression. If you're living too far in the future, you're living in anxiety and stress. I think the goal of life is almost to come find the middle. You know what I mean? Don't live in the future. When you're stressing about the things you can't control, you're living somewhere that doesn't yet exist. That's why I think, in my opinion, your body freaks out, your brain says, I don't know, blah, blah, because your brain's in a different reality to your body. Your body is here in this moment, and you're astral projecting into a dimension that your body's not in. So there's a separation between your mind and your body. I think that's why there's all this confusion and stress, and your body starts to have these symptoms and your brain goes all wide and people want to throw up and all these things because they've left the situation in which they're in, So I think that the only way to deal with stress when it comes to things that you can't control is to stop living in the reality that doesn't exist, which we call the future. But it's not even the future because it hasn't happened yet.
Not only has it not happened yet, but you're making it up. You're creating worlds that don't exist. You have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. You're just trying to predict. And in my opinion, when you're trying to predict, you're entering into a world in which might not even, it depends how deep you want to go. Like if you want to go life's theories, but that world could exist and you're just in a different dimension, or that world may not exist and you're just in complete chaos,
Yeah. You're just creating the think of all these possibilities and you're not living in your reality.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I'd say that's how I overcome. Don't bother thinking in the future. I just focus on the now. I'm driving. This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Focus on the now. I like that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Got a question for you. Do you have a friend who checks you and tries to understand how you think, or allows you to think about or analyze yourself, I suppose?
Do I have a friend that allows me to try and analyze myself?
He sees you do something. He's like, why did you do that? And he allows you to think and reflect. Do you have that person? Doesn't have to be a friend. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's your girlfriend.
I have utmost support from everyone in my life all the time. I am so grateful for every single person in my life. Trust me, I love everyone with an open heart, and I always have confirmation in which what I'm doing is right, which is kind of what I would prefer in a way, because it makes me feel good. Yeah, fuck it, I'm doing the right thing. That's awesome. I don't know if I have anyone in my life that actually checks me and asks me why am I doing the things I'm doing. No, I don't. Do you?
I didn't until I went to New Zealand. So in those 3 months, I told you I found a German mate. He did backpacking all from Germany, came to New Zealand, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
He was 9 to 18 at the time. I was 19. And he was the one that we would be partying at my place. And then while everyone's partying, we just go off, just chat for like a few hours.
That's such a good friend to have, eh? That's awesome.
I haven't come across a friend like that. Because there were so many times where he allowed me, he was my therapist. That's the point of where I grew so much, because he was like always able to ask me the right question. He's going to become a therapist, but he would be like, there were small things like he would ask me, why did I get angry in this situation? I'll be like, it was impulsive, but I would then link my initial reaction to a past experience, which is when I remember the last podcast, I said every past situation influences every future interaction.
Yeah.
But I would be able to analyze and reflect on my entire past life and understand why I blew up, or what I don't blow up normally. But, you know, why I reacted that way and how I can improve next time. But there were small things that we learned, like small examples, like after a good night out, you know, when you hug the boys, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll give Ben a meaningful hug. But then while I'm, giving him a hug, he would pat me on the back at the beginning. And I was like, after a few times of like giving each other hugs, because we spent 3 months every day together, I'm like, why do you pat me on the back? And then he realized that it's because of his dad. His dad was very strict, and he was like very logical and no emotion. So we realized that the patting of the back was a way of breaking the meaningful connection between the two people.
That's powerful. Wow.
And he carried that from his dad and carried that same habit to us. Obviously, we're having this amazing, deep conversation, but when it came to hugging and embracing, and that's a real form of physical connection, he would pat me on the back to break it, because obviously he's not used to it. And he carried that trait from his dad. So that was like, I was able to ask him. He never realized it until I mentioned it, and then he thought about it. And then he started adjusting and changing. And now he's actually having meaningful hugs, and he's trying to appreciate it in the moment. So that was one thing. And another thing is, he told me psychologically, he would do it a lot. And he realized, like, when he was talking to me about something, or if I was talking about something and I didn't know something, before he would say anything, he would start to smile. Apparently people smile psychologically when they know someone doesn't know something, which I found very interesting. He's obviously seen, and I've learned that from him, and obviously I observe it, and I notice that I do it sometimes. When I'm like, this guy's talking about something, I know something he doesn't know, I'm just fucking smiling the whole time. I can't wait to tell him.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But it's cool when you have that person who is able to not analyze you, but like kind of like really be present and really like understand you and see you as a person and a soul, and understand and make you question, because these questions allow you to think, and you make these connections in your own head. That's why I was asking, do you have that person? Because I found like my relationship with Ben was the most unique relationship I've ever had. Yeah. Which is why it was so important for me to maintain. And that's why I was curious if you have one.
I like that too. And it's making me think a lot since you asked the question. And I think, I explained this to you off camera, I do see the steganography inside of a lot of messages and meanings, but I also have a brain that can relate things that shouldn't usually get related. I'm not going to say shouldn't, but I know that a lot of people don't relate these two things. So I'll use this example from the Bible where it has all these hidden messages inside of it, which is like when you read the book of Isaac, or could be anything about the book of John, anyone. It's a story, but the hidden message is in there for you to decipher and relate that to your own life.
Yeah.
I see that because I am a form of believer, I'm not religious, but I'm a believer in a God. I see that God always gives you the answer. It's always there. You just have to find it. I learned that through being a tradesman, doing my apprenticeship, growing up as a service tech. If I'd go to a breakdown and I'd realize this thing isn't working, I have no idea what's wrong with it. But I have the answer somewhere here. There's an answer. I need to find it. It might be I know the person to call who's had this experience before. So I'll use that. We are so lucky today we have Google. You know what I mean? Like there's always an answer. I just need to find the answer in order to fix this. So I kind of use that to create a mindset that God will always give me what I'm looking for. So I think that might be why I don't have the person who checks me in my life, because I check myself. You know, I'm always listening to a podcast or having conversations with people, and I am that version of the other person checking myself. I'm always questioning why I do everything in my life. So maybe God doesn't give me that person because I am that person. But maybe if you weren't being that person in your own life that was checking it, or you weren't hearing that from things you were listening to or watching, then God gives you that person to check you, you know? I think that life literally gives you everything you ever want. You just need to know where to find it. So maybe I have got that person in my life, but I don't realize it's them because I'm the person who's doing it myself. Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm so glad I brought this up, because for the people that are listening, like this is for you. Like I realize a lot of people don't have this skill of reflecting. I didn't have it until I went to New Zealand, and Ben started questioning a lot of things. And then I started making these connections in my own brain. I needed someone else like Ben, absolute blessing to my life. I'm so glad he came along because he allowed me to, I feel like I live in a completely different world compared to where I was before, because now I'm actually able to self-reflect. I'm more aware of my surroundings and other people. And I feel like a lot of people aren't present anymore.
Yeah.
And I hope that anyone listening now can have the same mindset as us. I hope they can learn these skills. And I was fortunate that it came in the form of Ben, who blessed my life. But I hope that we can be a blessing to the people listening as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think whether they know it or not, this is a blessing. And me being the believer in God and having the idea that everything is there for you to experience. This whole world is mine. This is my earth. This is my universe. This is all for me. But then it's also for you, you know what I mean, in your world. Everything that I'm saying to you is actually information that you will probably need one day. Everything that you're saying to me is information that I either need now or I will need in the future. Okay. It's a crazy entangled dance that God's the only way to describe it, because we haven't got the vocabulary to express such a crazy, powerful energy that exists, is that there is someone pulling the strings in every direction to orchestrate this dance spread out across 8 billion people so perfectly that every time that one person does one thing, it can affect the entire world in a positive way. Or one person like Hitler could come along and the entire world could learn from a narcissistic mentality that can grow from making the wrong decisions at a certain age, you know, and how everything is for everyone to understand and experience. So I've completely forgot where I was going with this. I do this all the time, but I think that whether people are listening to it and they actually are taking this information or not, I think that it's going into their subconscious, and everyone's subconscious is deciphering all their own information, and they might not even know it, but everyone is going to take this into practice anyway.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Ben. He was able to make a lot of the subconscious thoughts that I had. Obviously, subconscious means you're not aware of it. Yeah. But he was able to convert a lot of subconscious things into conscious, and then I was able to focus on him and really understand it, and that allowed me to grow as a person, because I feel like a lot of information that people hear goes in one ear or out the other, or stays in the subconscious. They don't actually realize it or lock onto it. So what I've been trying to do is every interaction, like even talking to you, I'm trying to be like a sponge, trying to absorb as much as possible. Because since Netherlands, when I went to Netherlands, I met my extended family, which I hadn't met since I was like 3 months old. Obviously, I didn't meet them because I was 3 months.
Yeah, they met you.
Yeah, they met me. Exactly. But my Oma, She was.
I had an Oma too, yeah, from Holland, yeah. Dutch.
Oh, you're Dutch. I didn't even know that, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah, bro.
Yeah.
But my Oma, she is now dating a guy called Fred, and he's a mechanic, but he is such a blessing to everyone because he is so competent. If there's anything you need fixing, anything you need done, he has so many diverse skills that I was with him, and like he's in his, I think 60s, 70, I don't even know, but he's an old fella, but he is working like a young bloke.
Sorry, everyone, the camera died. But yeah, so working like a young fella. Yeah.
Yeah. So his name was Fred, but he obviously is not. He's old, but he seemed younger than me. Like every single morning, he was renovating his entire house. He did everything himself. He had maybe a plumber that would come in once in a while, but he dug up everything, smashed walls, did everything himself. And I'm like, man, I'm so young and I can't keep up with this guy. But he is the go-to person that all the family would turn to if they need help with something. Ever since meeting him, I'm like, he's such a blessing and such a pure-hearted person. That's someone I want to be. I want to become the most competent person so that everyone around me, all my family, friends, everyone can turn to me for help because then I can help and bless them.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I feel like that should be a man's purpose, to be able to become the most competent person in the room.
Yeah.
So that you become a role model. Not only are you able to teach other people stuff, but you're also able to help them in the times of need.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm trying my best to. Obviously, I'm still 20, so I'm still learning stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm just trying to absorb as much as possible. Like even my girlfriend's dad, she is a property, and he wanted to do his landscaping. I've never done landscaping in my life. Well, I've done stuff before, but like it's a huge project, and I'm like, I want to jump on this because I know my dad wants to do a property later on, and I'm like, if I can nail all the skills here, I can take that and bless other people and my family, help myself. It's a skill you can help yourself with.
Yeah.
But I feel if you as competent as possible, not only can you save yourself money hiring some professional that charges you like $300,
Yeah.
you can do it yourself. But I feel like, yeah, just blessing everyone around you and also becoming the man that I want to be.
Dude, and to be honest, bro, that's the beauty in having a trade. And I would honestly recommend everyone to at least get one trade in their life. Like, it doesn't have to be something that you want to do for the rest of your life. And to be honest, if you're not interested in doing it, you don't have to complete it. You can just do it for a year, 2 years. If you don't want to finish the 3 or 4, you can just do it for a little bit, because the skills that you learn, especially, I was very fortunate in which the trade that I chose to do, being refrigeration and air conditioning. Not only do you have the skills in doing refrigeration and air conditioning, but you also get your electrical ticket. So you understand everything to do with electricity. And then in doing so, the only way to do things that get cold is they create water. So you have to understand plumbing, and you have to start doing drainage, and you get to learn all those tools as well. And then in order to make things fit, you have to understand carpentry, because you have to build things out of timber. You also have to be a bit of a rigger, because you have to lift up such heavy equipment. So you have to learn how to operate chains and ropes and knots and cranes and all these things as well. It's like, it's a very fortunate thing to be able to do trade. And I'm kind of showboating a little bit, but like, I did this whole room. Like, this was me. There was no other outside force. Like, you go out the back, the deck that was built, there's concrete that's been poured, there's fans that have been installed in the house, there's the air conditioning, there's everything from the toilet, you know what I mean? Like, everything is doable once you have a skill in a trade, because once you kind of know how to do one thing, you can kind of use it to do everything else. It's kind of like, it's not that hard, to be honest. Once you learn one, it's kind of, everything pretty easy. It doesn't take that much intelligence.
Yeah, but it's awesome that you were able to build your entire temple. Like,
yeah.
This is your safe haven, and you every single thing that's important in this place, you can fix and also install.
Yeah.
Like, that's just means you're just super competent, and I feel like that's a skill I want to learn.
I've been fortunate. That's what it comes down to. I've been fortunate.
So that brings me on to my next question. How do you know when you are the man?
The man.
The man. Let's say if you want kids or whatever. How do you know when you're ready? How do you know when you are the person that's ready to provide and protect and be the role model for other people?
Right. That's a good question, though. I think I mentioned Robert Greene before, who was an author. He wrote this book called Mastery. And that book was all about trying to achieve mastery. That's all the whole thing was. It was about finding mentors, learning how to overcome adversity, creating a diverse skill set so you can start to apply one train of thought to another that has nothing to do with it. Like, it was a good book for me because everything I was already interested in, and it kind of just like summarized it in an easier form for me. Great book. I would have to recommend everyone to read it. Even the beginning of the book's awesome. It teaches you about Charles Darwin. It teaches you, so you learn so much from reading Robert Greene. But what I kind of understand from reading that is very similar to what we were talking about before with enlightenment, and mastery is something that can never ever be achieved. It's a very similar to the word perfection. And me and my mate Luke, we would always argue about whether anything can be perfect or not. And I was on the side of the fence that perfect is a word that explains something that is not attainable. It doesn't matter how far you zoom in, you've never really made it perfect. Because if you trace between the lines and you zoom in, you've either missed it or you've gone over it. And if it is perfect, just keep zooming in. There's no such thing as perfect. Doesn't matter how level you make something, that bubble can always be too far to one side. Like, there is no such thing. I think that mastery is a very similar thing. There's nothing you can do to achieve perfection. That's another way of saying it. And being the man is a final result. That's an end product. There's nothing that can be said past it because you're now the man, when there's a full stop at the end of that. That is not something in which I believe you can ever achieve. I don't think I will ever be the man with a full stop at the end of it. The only way I think that I'm going to be able to live my life is I'm going to be the man with a comma after it that's always striving. I think that's what being a man is all about. I think being a man is admitting the fact that you're not perfect, but not being okay with that and doing your best to try and become it. Exactly. But you'll never become it, you know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of people get comfortable in their lives because they can accept the fact that I'm never going to get everything I want. Life's unfair, like fucking, sorry for cussing. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back. But obviously everyone who's achieved greatness in their life were not comfortable with the fact that they're not going to be able to attain greatness or perfection or be number one or any of these things. So they're the ones that are pushing themselves to be better every single day. I think in order for me to feel like the man, I have to know that I'm doing everything that I can to be the best version of myself, but I'm never going to be the best version of myself, which is almost a good thing because it means you're always going to improve. You know, you're never going to get there. So the limitation in which you thought existed is even higher because you won't achieve it. And Matthew McConaughey had this amazing speech one day that was, someone asked him, who do you look at for inspiration? And he said, myself in 10 years. And ever since I heard that, that sunk into my spirit, you know what I mean? He's the man. Myself in 10 years, he's the man. And when I get to 10 years from now, he's the man. And that's a good feeling. That's an exciting feeling. That lets me know that I am the man already.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think you can ever say that you are the man. I think that is something for other people to decide. I feel like if it's your partner, if it's your friends, they will kind of gravitate to you if you're the man. You can tell how close and how tight people hold you. Because if people don't really care for your existence, I suppose, that means you're not adding any value. And I feel like as a man, you add value and you build people up. You bring people up to your level. So I feel like being the man is subjective and it's up to other people to decide. But all we can do is strive to be the best person possible and the most competent person as well. Competency and becoming the best person is what I strive to be. And I think everyone should.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that everyone else's, and I do battle with this idea in my own mind as well. What's the real version of you? Is it the version of you that you believe, or is it the collected idea that everyone else has together? Because as a conscious energy, if 100 people have an opinion on you that's the same and your opinion's different, even though you're experiencing it, isn't theirs the truth? Because it's so much more energy and it's so much more impactful. Like, it's one thing for me to sit back and be like, yeah, I'm the man in 10 years. But if everyone else decides I'm not, I don't know which is the
Reality.
more. I wouldn't even say it's the reality, because the reality I live my life is also different than the reality you live your life. I don't even know if you see the same colors as me. You know, the reality is I'm only aware of my own experience and the feedback that I get from others based on what I am interpreting they're saying. That's my reality, but your reality could be completely different. In truth, I don't know if what I'm saying to you and you're hearing it is the same thing. You know what I mean? We could be completely different creatures.
That's
bro.
like a huge thing to think about.
Like that's deep.
Yeah.
That's big. I'm going too far when I'm saying that, but I think that you're right when you say that other people can consider you to be the man if you want to enter. And this is another concept that I haven't created yet, but I'm trying to work it out. Is that if you want to leave your own dimension, is the closest word I can say, and enter the dimension of being familiar with everyone else's understanding. Like if you want to get out of your own head and be out into the world with everyone else's and trying to experience what everyone's experiencing together, then you're the man if everyone else says you are. But if you want to leave that dimension and go back into your own personal dimension when the whole world doesn't exist and nothing bad's happening to me and I'm choosing to look at everything glass half full, and this person might be sad that this thing's happening and I might be happy. So we're living in two different dimensions anyway. Yeah. I'm the man in my world, but there's another dimension to be entering to. And maybe you got to find that balance to fit in both.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a cool concept. And I also see that obviously a lot of people put on a persona to fool other people into thinking that they are the man. So obviously other people's opinions are influenced by what you present and what face you put on and show them and what you do. And I think that obviously isn't a reliable indication of who you are as a person, only you know. But yeah, it's very difficult. I just thought it was an interesting thing to just put out there and just think about, because I don't think anyone can ever become the man.
Yeah.
Because other people will only see one side of you, whatever you present to them, but obviously you know who you are as a person, but obviously you can't be perfect.
Yeah.
You can't become the perfect man. But that's again, like if you want to become a parent or whatever for kids, I don't think you can ever be ready. Yeah. I think you just need to understand if you are happy with yourself and if you feel like you want to have more to give to other people, then kids are definitely the way. And like with my parents, I remember when I was like 9 or whatever, I found a book in that closet and it was like how to parent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any parents are ready. Yeah. I don't think you can ever be ready. You just learn as you go.
That's beautiful that you have that as a memory. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it was a bit like shit. My parents are figuring it out as they go. That's kind of scary. Yeah. But it's just like.
But that's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And I feel like.
In perspective of looking back, obviously.
Of course. And as the oldest, obviously I was. Obviously, I don't know if it's a good way of putting it, but I was the first experiment.
Yeah, of course.
And then obviously with the second one, they adjust it. And with the third one, they either kind of fucking don't care anymore.
Well,
it's just like,
up.
you do what you want, mate.
Yeah. There's nothing we can do. They're a lost cause. There's nothing we can do. Yeah.
No, but like what I've learned is no one's ever ready. I feel you just need to put yourself in the deep end. Obviously, kids is a huge thing. It's something you have to dedicate yourself to for the rest of your life. But I feel like as a man, kids are definitely like your life's meaning. Like it's a man's life meaning is to have kids and then pass on the knowledge and wisdom they have, and then hopefully guide their kids to have their own kids, and then you can instill your beliefs and your positive way of thinking, your mindset into your kids, and then hopefully they can become even better than you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and you'll never be the man, and it all comes down to a definition of what you think the man is. You know, is the man the guy who does something flawlessly, or is the man the guy who doesn't, but he's always trying to? You know, like it's hard. It's hard to define the man. So I guess that's up to everyone's subjective opinion into what they believe the man is. There's people that I can look at and I think he thinks he's the man, you know, but because he thinks he's the man, it makes me think he's not, you know, because it's like you can't think you're the man. You have to want to be the man in order to be the man.
And those type of people, I feel like when you have to project yourself onto other people, I feel like there's an insecurity there. There's a level of doubt. So you're saying these things, hoping that they will back it up and say, you are the man. So then you feel better. So that little insecurity of yourself can hopefully ease away.
Yeah.
But I feel like people that project themselves definitely have a lot of flaws and they need to work on that. And I used to be like that. Like my football, I thought I was amazing. And I would say I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, like, you know, I would boast and I would hope that people would back it up. And when I heard people say, you're really good, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But I realized that became like, it's very cocky and arrogant. And I realized like there was my mate who's now playing for, he's playing Sydney FC and now he's playing for Newcastle Jets in the A-League. He's only 19.
Wow.
He's in the Newcastle run, Clayton Taylor.
Wow.
He's playing first grade right now, A-League. But he was always so humble. He never said he was good. He just let his actions speak. And I think that's more important. Don't say things. Back them up with your words.
Yeah.
I mean, with your actions.
Yeah.
So I've learned that, and I'm trying to become more humble. Obviously, it's hard to, you know, everyone has an ego. Everyone has a complex. I've learned over the years to become more humble, but obviously I have a cocky side, you know.
Yeah, I do too.
We'll grow.
I struggle with that myself too. I'm cocky, egotistical, almost narcissistical, like self-absorbed and self-obsessing. Like I can't deny it, but I do try and balance it as well as I can by saying that I only think this way because I have the mindset in which I'm going to become it eventually. You know, it doesn't mean that I am it now, but I'm going to, and that I use it as fuel. I use it as fuel in a good way. I like that you said the whole raising kids thing too when it comes to being ready, and you're never ready. And it's funny because I was saying last year for the entire year, if anyone's up to date with watching the podcast, that 2024 is going to be a powerful year. And everywhere I look, people are actually having kids. Like people are getting pregnant left, right, and center this year. It's insane. It's awesome. It's scary. It's exciting because I can't wait to see the life in which everyone around me brings. And the only way that I think that people are going to be able to do this is with that mindset that I'm not going to be a perfect parent, but I'm going to do my best to try and be a perfect parent.
Exactly right.
And it honestly, it's crazy. Everywhere I look this year, there's just people getting pregnant. It's wild. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like I can relate that to a funny story. So when I came back from New Zealand, I was at Bella Vista, and when I was drinking, I was off my face. I was in the sports bar, I'm chilling with my mates, having a smoke, whatever. But I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my seat, and then one of these mates, back in the day when I was 15, played soccer with.
His name's Beep.
Can you beep that out?
Yeah.
Good shit.
He's
going to
Beep.
watch this, eh?
Yeah, his name's Beep.
Yeah, his name's Beep. Can you actually edit that?
Yeah, it does. Okay,
thank God, man. 'Cause I don't want to throw him under the bus like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, there was this one night I was at Bella, drunk off my face, and I'm having a good time. And
Beep. Don't worry, I'll beep it again.
And then my old mate comes over, and I haven't seen him in a while, and he's like, "Oh, bro, by the way, it's good to see you, but you know, he's 20, and he's like, I got my misso pregnant, and we're gonna have a kid in 9 months, whatever." And I'm like, "That's crazy, bro. I'm drunk," but that's cool. And then apparently, after when I came back from travels a whole year later, we've wound it up in the same soccer team again. And he's like, during the training stage, he's like, "Do you remember that thing I told you about Bella?" And I'm like, "Mate, I don't remember shit." As in, I was playing it off like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember. Can you remind me?"
Yeah.
And he told me, and I'm like, it blew my mind because like, I don't think there is an age where obviously over 18, but I think being the man and being ready for kids, it's nothing to do with your life experience. I think it's with the amount of growth you've done as a person, and only you will know if you're ready to be able to be a father or a mother. And I feel like if he's in the right mindset and he knows this will be a blessing in his life, go for it. Like, I'm supportive. I love that he's able to have this blessing in his life, and he's able to move into the next stage of his life, and he's ready for it. So I feel like, yes, parenting is terrifying, but I don't think anyone's ever fully ready for it.
Yeah.
It's a completely different lifestyle, completely different.
Yeah.
But all I know is if you put your best foot forward and you're always trying to strive to be the best parent and learn from your parents. Obviously, everyone has had ups and downs with their parents and you learn from that. But it's just finding that balance, like I said before. It's so hard.
Yeah.
We only learn over time.
Yeah. I think that the person that you choose to have a child with is a major component. I thought for a very long time that I don't really care who I end up with at the end of the day. Like, I thought this for a lot of my childhood, my teenage years, early adulthood. I thought it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a pretty easygoing person. I've always been this person, and I've kind of picked some. The boys will laugh when they listen to this. I've picked some psychos along the way, and I've trialed and errored, and I've done it because I've enjoyed the experiences, you know, that life brings with adversity. I'll use that as a good word. Now that I'm older, I'm a fully on the other side of the fence, where who you choose to have children with is 100% of the outcome that your child is going to be. If you pick some person who you think is treating you like shit, isn't doing much of their own life, isn't trying to progress, isn't making the effort to be unselfish and start to become a bit more selfless, they don't have commitments, they don't have things that they're doing that is not because they want to, because they need to, then they're not going to be able to take any of that experience and use that towards creating the next generation of people. I always thought that religion was a great thing to have for children. Because if you can practice the art in believing that there is something more important than yourself, like a God, then you're just getting ready to have kids, because you've spent your whole life believing that you are not the center of the universe already. I think that it doesn't have to be that. It can be someone who just goes to work every day. It can be someone that plays sport. You know, they show up to training, they show up to the games. It can be someone who is self-reflective. It can be... There are a million traits that could create a good parent, trust me. But if you don't have any experience in putting someone else first, I think that you'll struggle. I think you'll definitely struggle. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move this off to another point that I had. So there was a situation where my girlfriend was working in the cafe, and there was a customer that's... She's ordered like 10 ice creams, come back and forth, up and down, up and down. And then she's made a coffee, and then she had to make some ice cream, and then she's complaining. But she would hound my girlfriend, like just insult her constantly, like, why would you do this? Are you stupid? And all that stuff. And I'm like, and then I'm in bar, and she's come over crying and all that stuff. And then she's gone to the bathroom, cried, gone back. And then as the lady's leaving, she goes, if you hate your job, quit. You should quit. You should quit. And I'm just thinking, like, she's telling me this, bawling her eyes out for the second time. And I'm like, it's dumbstruck me, because obviously she's a young girl and she's being hounded by a mother of all these kids. And I'm thinking, like, why would you do that to someone else so young? Like, obviously she's doing her best. You've smashed her with all these orders you've had, and you've treated her like this. And I've realized it for a while, but miserable people want company.
Yeah.
So I've realized, like, that lady, I know she might have taken it out on my girlfriend, but I told my girlfriend this, like, she wasn't angry at you as a person. She was taking it out on you because her life at home is probably miserable. She's using you as a venting point to get all this stuff off her chest. Maybe she's got a bad relationship with the father, who knows? But she's used as one incident to then blow up.
Yeah.
So what I've realized is, like, when dealing with these type of people, it's important to, like, realize, like, hold your ground, yes, but also don't take it all personally. Don't let it hit you in the heart, because most of the time they're just using you as a venting point. Yes, don't let them disrespect you. Hold your ground. Definitely, have a go at them if you want, but I feel like don't let it affect you in your mental health, because you are just being used as the targeting point.
Yeah. I think miserable people want company is a great analogy for that. I think that another way that I was interpreting it when you were saying it from the beginning was hurt people, hurt people. You ever heard that one before?
That's my other fucking, yeah, that's my other point, bro. Shit.
Yes.
It's literally, my dot point is hurt people, misery wants company.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful. All right, we're on the same page. I think what I was thinking of when you were saying it is there's this ancient religion. I don't remember what it is called, but my mate Adam, shout out to Adam, he's basically the Australian John Wick. He's insane. He's just the greatest trainer I could have ever asked for in my life, not just in fighting capabilities and self-defense, but also in life mentorship as well. But he explained to me this religion that exists, and I can't remember where it's from. I can't remember what culture believes it, but when you die, they believe that your spirit or your consciousness or your soul, based on how you lived your life, whether it was good or evil, that will go up into the Atos, whatever you call it, and it will join one of two sides, the light or the darkness. And these two warring spirits, in this metaphorical sense, are collecting souls to join their battle. And there's an ultimate battle of good versus evil, which is a symbolism for God versus the devil, which is yin versus yang. You can use it to refer to anything you want. But I think that war, I try and look at that as life in general. And that's why hurt people. And that's why miserable people want company, because it's almost like COVID in a way, where it will affect one person and the closest people they are with, it now spreads through their mouth and through their nose and through their eyes, and it will start to affect more people and more people and more people. Think of that as evil or sadness or misery or anything that can be looked at in a bad light. There is two wars happening. You can take that information that someone else is spitting at you, like this COVID thing, and you can absorb it, and you can now use that to vent onto someone else, or you can take that as fire and start breaking things, or hating your job, or be like, I hate this isn't worth doing it. Or you can be on the other side, which is the light, which is, I'm sorry, are you okay? If you're having a bad day, just, I'm here for you. You know, you can actually use the other side to fight it. But if someone else is a good person, trust me, you can choose to be on the evil side too, and you can fight their goodness with evil. If someone comes to you like, hey mate, I hope you have a good day, you can just be like, go fuck yourself, you know? Sorry for cussing, but
It's not good, man.
but we did agree before we started the podcast, everyone listening, that we are both trying to stop cussing as much as possible. I think that's how I look at it in general. Yes, hurt people, but that's because there is a war happening in this planet that we are a part of that we can't see as clearly as we can see each other. It's a emotional, energetic, conscious war that is using humans as vessels to fight their own war.
Yeah.
And we can't choose to be a part of it or not. We only choose which side we want to be on. And that's how I think of those types of situations.
That's all to do with your mindset, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like an aura. And I know that if you radiate light, darkness will reside. And your light will then can take away someone else's darkness. Like you said, if you take the light approach, sometimes you can get rid of that darkness and then you can bring out the light in them.
Yeah.
Like, it's all a ripple effect. You ripple off onto everyone else. If I go to work and everyone's not having a good day and I'm smiling, I'm like, how are you? Everyone's soon going to be in a good mood, smiling, jokes. The whole atmosphere, the whole, workplace is going to be a different vibe. You can be the light in everyone else's darkness.
Yeah.
You can bring them out. You can save them, or you can at least try your best. But it's just about your mindset and your mentality. You know, if you go to work in a bad mood, you don't smile. You're just angry all the time. Everyone else is going to get that vibe, and they're going to slowly feel like uncomfortable and unhappy, and it rubs off on everyone else.
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right. You can either choose to be on the dark side or the light side.
Yeah. I think that's the easiest way for me to look at those situations. Like, there's always going to be the darkness. It's always going to exist, but the light will always overcome, as you said. I think it was you that said this to me. There's two wolves. The two wolves analogy. Is it you that said, like, there's there's two wolves. There's the light wolf and there's the dark wolf. Was it you or not?
No, but I like the sound
Someone
of it.
said it to me very recently. I can't remember exactly how they said it, but yeah, there is two wolves that exist. And one's the lightness and one's the darkness. One's a white wolf, one's a black wolf. And they're both in a room separated by a wall and a divider. Which wolf will survive the longest? Whichever one you choose to feed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
I wonder who said that to me then. I apologise for everyone. I apologise to whoever.
I'll take the
said
credit.
that.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But I like that analogy. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. I wanted to ask about the wedding because I saw you posting that and you guys will dress up in your suits and I saw these. Obviously, I don't know your mates, but obviously I recognize them from thumbnails from your other podcasts and I saw that you had them all there. So
Yeah.
how was the wedding? What was that about?
Wedding was amazing, dude. Shout out to Patrick is the wedding you're referring to, which was the most recent wedding. That's why it was his bucks party that we went on. It was phenomenal. It was an amazing day. He really carried himself with utmost professionalism on that day. He looked the part. He made sure we looked the part. He gave us the brief. Don't muck around. Don't be stupid. Make sure you do this. Don't do that. And then his missus obviously gave us the lectures too. No vapes in the photos. No blah, blah, blah. We're just like, no vapes in the photos. This wedding's horseshit. Yeah. You know, from Step Brothers. Yeah. But all in all, it was an amazing day. It was my mate, Pat. He's sorry, Pat, but I have to say this, but he's a very emotional guy. Very emotional guy. And this is the reason why everyone loves him so much, because he wears his heart outside of his body. Like, it's so easy to see. And when he had to do the speech and stuff like that,
here we go.
he said it to us in practice in the Airbnb that we were staying at, because it was a bit of a destination wedding. And he's saying it, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, if you cry, dude, I'm going to punch you in the head, because, like, I'm going to cry too. And then as soon as he starts talking, he starts crying. I'm like, go on. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, just go, just get it out, get the tears out. Because I told him, and it worked, if you feel like you're going to cry whenever you have to do something emotional, allow it. I think that when you start to fight it in those situations, that's when it starts to become more trembly and awkward and stuff. But if you allow yourself to cry, then a tear might fall. You might get watery eyes, but you're still going to be able to perform your speech to the best of your ability. So I was explaining that to him. And I'm sitting on the couch as he's doing his speech crying. I'm like looking at the ceiling like, damn it, man, you're going to make me do it, man. You're going to make me act up, man. And then I just feel this one tear just building up. I'm like, if this tear falls, I'm going to lose it. Like, I got a stupid masculine pride where I don't like crying. But, oh, man, I don't know whether I'll consider it to be I cried or not. I did get watery eyes, but it was... When he did deliver it on the day of the wedding, it was an awesome day, beautiful day. I got the honours of being best man and got to give a speech that I felt very honoured to do. I said everything I wanted to say. It was a good day. It was nice. It's a really good feeling when you watch your mates grow up and meet, date, fall in love, and then marry the person that they plan to have children with. And it's the second mate so far in the last 6 months that's done it. So
Yeah.
it's always a good day. I love a wedding. I love a good wedding. But it's a big day, man. A wedding's a big day.
No, of course. Well, I mean, it's a perfect time to have a cry.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And I feel like it makes the message more meaningful.
Yeah.
Everyone can then connect to it.
Yeah.
But personally, I haven't like cried in like a few years.
Yeah.
Like proper cried. I find it's more, like especially with my girlfriend, like I don't cry in front of her. The most I've ever done is like, if it's really meaningful, like my eyes water and maybe one tear comes out, but that one tear is all she needs to just feel more connected to me.
Yeah.
But nothing more than that.
Yeah.
I don't fucking ball my eyes. It doesn't happen, mate.
I don't know if I reckon I cried once when I was maybe 18 or 19. That's probably I cried. I remember actually crying. I obviously cried when I suffered the loss of my mate. That was obviously cried. I cried when my Omar passed away as well. These are separate. These are like death.
Of
death,
course you
obviously.
can.
That's not crying. That's just part of the universe doing what it needs to be doing. Like, that's not me. I didn't cry. That's not me. That's God. Yeah, God cried for me. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel... I'm not saying I don't feel the need to cry, but I'd rather fight it. You know what makes me cry, dude, honestly? And I will tear up every time. Say, for example, Avengers Endgame. All right. If I watch Avengers, have you seen Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, of course. Bro.
If I watch that movie, bro, my eyes are watery. I don't know what's like. I got something in my eye, bro. I don't know why, but watching all the superheroes come together for me, that reminds me of being a child and wishing that how amazing it would be to be able to watch a movie that had every possible superhero in it, and they're waiting 10 years from the beginning.
I know, hey.
Dude, that movie today makes me tear up. Spider-Man, No Way Home. The scene when the other Spider-Man come, like,
Yeah, all three of them together.
oh, dude.
When they're all going down that building, webbing together, that was so dope.
When I first seen Tobey Maguire, first it was Andrew Garfield who made his appearance in the cinemas. I watched that for midnight release. I couldn't tell you the level of excitement I got. Like, I'm pretty sure I was tearing up. And then Tobey Maguire, when he made his cameo as well, I couldn't believe it. And then when they all three of them swung, I'm crying, bro. I'm so happy. Like,
It's so beautiful.
it's just, that's the stuff that makes me cry out of anything, yeah. You know, like, honestly, I'm going to sound like a massive puss when I say this, but, like, have you seen Pitch Perfect? If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen number 3 then. Pitch Perfect 3. There's a scene at the end where all the... so gay. There's a scene where all the Bart and Bellas, they all come together and it's like a reunion from, like, I don't know how many years, 20 years of different people have gone through generations of doing it. They all come together, they perform this song in the end. Shit like that makes me like, oh man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I love it when films like just like Star Wars. There was a Star Wars film that came out. I can't remember, but they pieced. Oh, I think it was one of the episodes on Disney. I can't remember if it was Andor or something, but they or the Mandalorian. They will. There's like chunks in the like the chronological order. Like there's bits when you watch the first amount of the original Star Wars that come out.
Yeah.
There's all these gaps in between it. You don't know what's happened. And I love it when they chuck little films and they make it all make sense. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh.
I'm such a nerd for that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely love it.
Star Wars, I've kind of fallen off a little bit. I haven't been able to catch up since the 9 movies.
Mate, you haven't fallen off. It's fallen off.
Yeah, but
they're kind of egging it on now.
But I haven't watched The Mandalorian. I haven't watched all the Disney TV shows. I watched the Clone Wars, the animated series, but when it comes to Marvel or Harry Potter or anything along those lines, I'm the biggest nerd, dude. Like, I love that. I love that kind of stuff, yeah.
Same, bro. I love it so much.
All right, good side journey. What else you got, host? You're doing a great job, by the way. Killing it.
I'm trying, mate. I'm trying. It's
Killing
first
it.
day on the job.
Killing it.
Trying my best. Another thing I've learned. Personally, I find that when you're going through life's journey and you're growing as a person, I feel like it's very important for the viewers, just anyone individually, to have self-respect. And obviously everyone has their own insecurities. But when you understand self-respect and your boundaries are very important because I find that they are linked. If you don't have self-respect, you don't have boundaries. Saying if you take that into relationships, if you don't have self-respect, someone can walk all over you. And if you don't have boundaries, then they cross it every time. It's good when you can back yourself because you know this is what I'm worth and this is what I'm not okay with. If you're not okay with not staying in my boundaries, but respecting them, then it's going to work. But if you don't, this isn't the right person. So I find that everyone needs to develop themselves. You have to go through all the the messy bits in your life to understand what you like, what you don't, and what you want in your life, and what you don't. And that allows you to build a great present reality because you only keep the people that add value and that respect you as a person. Because I find that a lot of people go through life and don't fully understand the value and don't have boundaries. And they get destroyed. They get walked all over. They don't understand that they are worth someone's respect. And if someone doesn't respect you enough, they're not worth being in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people have a hard time doing. They don't understand. They're not capable of cutting someone out because they're like, am I actually worth, should I put this person aside? Am I better or worse off with it? And I don't know. I feel like I know a lot of people that just haven't developed themselves. And I'm like, put yourself in the deep end, man. Experience stuff. Don't stay in your little bubble because you don't understand yourself well enough. And if you don't understand yourself, how's someone else supposed to respect your boundaries?
That's what I was thinking when you were saying it. I was thinking along the lines of you have to deserve, first of all, the respect in which you are asking for. I'll use an easy example. I expect a woman to cook me dinner every night. Right? Easy example. What's the word that they use today? Like It's got to do with like feminism and stuff, like misogynistic, I guess. I guess that's the word. It's a kind of like along those lines. But personally in my life, I want that. I want that.
Yeah.
If I don't deserve it, I'm never going to get it. I have to be the person who deserves it. I have to earn that amount of respect.
Yeah. Are you the man that deserves to have a wife that cooks for him because you are doing something else? You're on your own grind and she's assisting you.
Yeah.
She knows that you've been out a long day and the thing that you don't want to do, or if you're just exhausted, if you come home to a warm meal, man.
Yeah.
Your entire night just feels like the entire day was worth it because you come home to a loving wife that loves you and wants to make sure you're taken care of.
But you also have to earn that afterwards as well. You have to be grateful for it. You have to constantly give reassurance and thank. And because if you really do want it, then if you feel like you deserve it, you feel like that means you want it. And if you want it and you get it, you better be grateful for the fact that you got what you want. It's pretty plain and simple. And I think that a lot of people let people walk all over them because they don't have their own respect for themselves in general. Like they could be letting go of the things that they need to be doing in their life. They're not caring for maybe someone that they should be caring for enough. So they haven't got that belief in themselves enough. So when someone treats them a bit more poorly, they're kind of used to that idea, like this is just what happens. Or if someone doesn't look after their body in which the way they should, they don't respect themselves enough. So how they won't believe that they deserve the respect from someone else. So they let them walk all over them. The more you start to believe in yourself, then you'll be able to start implicating that onto other people. Because if you just walk around and just expect everyone to hold themselves to your standard, but you're not living proof of that standard, then it's just hypocrite. It's just not going to work.
And that's what I've learned. A lot of people have these expectations. I feel like I'm not misogynistic, but a lot of girls nowadays, they feel entitled to the top man.
Yeah.
But are you the person that deserves that?
Yeah.
What I've learned is, like, as a man personally, I can't expect a wife that's going to be an amazing wife if I'm not a good, amazing, man, husband, whatever. So what I've learned is people always say, wait for that person to come. No, become the person that you want. Become that person that you want. So when that person comes along, you fit perfectly together.
That's a great mindset.
You deserve each other.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying that. It's a massive trend as of, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I noticed it starting where a lot of girls on the internet, I don't know how many times I have noticed it in real life, but I guess I kind of do in a bit more of a cultural, like, area-based arena. Like, I do notice it in a lower form, but I mostly notice it online, especially with the content creators and stuff that we watched. A lot of the stuff coming from LA and Miami and all these places
very
in America.
shallow, yeah.
Like, it's very, very shallow. And guys have had struggle for a long time. There's a girl, Sophia, don't remember her name, but she's been affiliated with the Nelk Boys, and Steiny always calls her his missus and stuff like that. But she goes on dates with guys, and on the first date, she asks them to show her their bank account.
Oh, I hate that.
That's insane. That is insane.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful. But you know what? Like, if a guy's willing to show a girl his bank account in order to get that girl, then they're probably a perfect match. You know what I mean? They're probably a perfect match because he's obviously only interested in her for her looks. He's bypassing all of the stuff that comes behind the scenes that he's literally looking at in front of him. Like, I want to see your bank account to see if you're worth my time. He's ignoring that and just being like, you're hot. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he's cared about. So
but
I kind of see that as going hand in hand. If someone's just interested in looks, maybe it's okay to just be interested in money.
Like a famous person once said, you know who it is? Men are attracted to what they see and girls love what they hear. That's why men lie and girls wear makeup.
Oh, very, very true. Yeah, very, very true. I think that what you see is also very subjective though. In myself personally, what I see above anything else is the capability someone will have in being a good mother. That is what I see above all. Obviously, it helps when they're laying. When the chick's hot, like it's obviously adds addition to it, you know. When there's a big bunda, I love it. Like, trust me. That's all great. Trust me. I feel like that is probably a necessity as well.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is, in my opinion, what I can see is how they're going to be as a mum. That's the most important thing for me.
That's what I look for now. I see, obviously when I was younger, all I cared, appearance was like first one and then everything else was next. But what I've realized is like, there can be hot girls all around me, but I'm like, I'm just looking at the heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you just a shallow person that is just all looks and that's what you focus on developing, just your looks? Because I notice a lot of the pretty girls, they don't have a lot of sustenance. They don't have a heart. They don't understand how to be a good mother. So that's why I don't jump into anything unless I have seen the heart. And that's why I fell in love with my girlfriend, because she is just, the first night we went out, it was amazing. We connected so well, and I saw her heart, she saw mine, and it was just like beautiful.
That's awesome. I don't know if this is going to work, but it just popped into my head. Everything has to have an exit strategy. I kind of look at that through my trade. I think to myself, like, I want to do this to the best of my ability, but I have to have an exit strategy, because eventually I'm going to get to an age in which I cannot hold this anymore. My body's going to break down. I'm going to be getting too old. I could have crazy responsibilities. Who knows what's going to happen in my life.
Who's going to take care of you?
Got to have an exit plan. I think that every job needs to have an exit plan. I think that where I live, where I choose to be invested in my time or my money, there has to be an exit plan for in case I get to a stage in which it doesn't work. A lot of girls don't have that mentality. When they're thinking about their looks all day, every day, that's all they're concerned about. Where's the exit strategy? You're going to get old. You're going to get wrinkly. You're going to deteriorate. Just like every man's going to do the same thing. If a man has an exit strategy to his trade, which is his capability, which is his strength, if a girl has a beauty, why doesn't she have an exit strategy to that? Why doesn't she work on saving money, investing it in places, work on being good-hearted, work on her career, work on education? Like, an exit strategy is, I think, an important thing for every decision you do.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to finalize. I'm not going to leave it at that. There will be addition one day in the future, because I do think that if you have a safety net behind something, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're planning, you're already expecting it to fail.
You are, but I think that you can prepare.
But yeah, I wouldn't invest everything into the exit plan, because then you're like, all right, if this fails, then I got this. But that means you're not going to give 100% to it.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love the idea of having a backup plan. Everyone should.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you think something's worth it, go for it. Dedicate yourself to it. If it doesn't work out, then you got the plan B. But don't think, I'm just going to do this and then see where it goes, and if I don't like it, I'm going to jump ship.
Yeah.
Don't be like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, good. Nice. Very nice.
I've got one more beautiful one. So on my way to Western Sydney and Campbelltown, obviously I listen to my podcast, and I'm listening to it, and obviously when I hear something, I'm like, there's a gem. I need to write this down. First I was using Siri. Oh, she's a pain in the ass, bro. Imagine driving full traffic and you're like, hey Siri, no, I don't want to fucking call this person. Make this. I was trying to get him to write a note down.
Yeah.
But one I've learned that I wrote down, and I did in a voice. I turned to, instead of writing, like trying to get Siri to write down the notes, I did voice messages to my sister.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I'm sending you all these voice messages. This is for myself. You're just the person that's copying it. But one of them was that you need to see relationships like it's an investment. So what I learned is, if Caleb's watching this, I'm using you as an example. When it comes to football, I noticed that I'm very negative, and I would say, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And that's because, and he doesn't take it well. He just is like, oh, but this is the reason. And he doesn't take accountability, or he doesn't brush it off. But that's because I haven't invested enough positive affirmation into him. I feel like you need to first, before you can say anything negative or give anyone advice, you need to first give them some positive information. Say, you're doing this, good job. And then when eventually you come to that saying where you have to say, you should adjust this, you should fix this, they're going to take it much better, because they know that you are actually caring for them. You're trying to support them. And this is a nice way of you saying that maybe there's something you can work on. They take it much better. So see it as like every positive thing you say to them is like an investment. And then every negative thing you say to them is a withdrawal. So if you haven't invested enough positive stuff, that withdrawal is not going to work.
Yeah.
They're going to take it badly. They won't take it well.
I love that. That's a great mindset. And to go back to the beginning when you were saying about the whole Siri thing, the way I've overcome that is everyone's going to eventually upgrade to the newest iPhones anyway. Everyone always does eventually. But this new one that come out, you have a button on the side here where the sound mute used to be, and you can adjust it to do anything you want it to be.
I don't have it, do I?
Do you have the new phone?
I don't know.
It's only a new one. It's only just kind of come out. Let's have a look. Nah, it's not out on this one yet. But
Shit.
trust, it's only on the newest phone. But every phone's going to start having it in the future. And what I've changed mine to, if I double click it, notes comes up. So you hold it. And then you can just click on this. And then you can just start speaking to it.
Shit.
So that's the future in which you won't have to use Siri too much longer in the future.
Siri kills me,
So
man.
it's not a bad investment getting that phone if you do it a lot. Yeah. I haven't ever looked at like an investment before, and the withdrawal is a great metaphor for it as well. I don't know if I've done it too many times with my friends, but I've obviously done it in relationships where every relationship that I try and get in is an investment. It could just be it's a way of investing. I wouldn't say I've always looked at it as an investment. I've known in the past to invest time into a relationship that is just momentary. It's just fast food. It's just Macca's and it's convenient. You know, I've done that. I've been in those relationships. I think that I will try and look at every relationship going forward in a sense that everything I do is going to have an impact for the future, you know. And I'm not that good at trying to say the negative things. Honestly, I'm not good because I have that fear of saying the wrong thing to someone in case they don't take it lightly. I'm not very good at doing that. So it's another thing that I will probably start doing probably in the future.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap it up, I've got a question for you. Is there anything you've learned this year that you would like to tell your audience, or allow them to learn from you what you've experienced?
I would say that, I said it before in the podcast, I did think that 2024 would be a powerful year, and the only way it would be a powerful year is if we all together collectively, in order to experience the power together, would be if we start running when 2024 started. And I don't mean literally going outside and putting one foot after the other. I mean metaphorically pushing for greatness this year. So far from what I can tell and how the year has started is that it has been the most progressive year by far. Last year was a great year. I had a great year last year. And this year I decided to go even harder. And I'm really starting to already see the fruits of my rewards. Like the podcast in itself has been growing a lot lately, you know. And I've kind of shifted my mindset a lot because I was after numbers and fame for a little bit. I was like, one day I'm going to start really blowing up, you know, one day. And now I don't even care at all about what the future looks like in terms of numbers and growth. As long as I can continue to have awesome conversations and meet interesting people like yourself who's come over twice now. You're the first person that's ever come over so close in a period of time from meeting you, let alone doing 2 episodes. Like, it's insane. And it's because I've been fortunate enough to meet people like yourself where now the numbers, I do not care anymore. Like it, and I think that's why it is starting to grow, because I'm only focused on the things that I'm able to control, you know?
Yeah.
Everything in my life is doing the same thing. I love this routine of living out of a suitcase. It's chaotic. There's a chapter in Jordan Peterson's book called Chaos and Order, and you cannot have one, you have to have both. You can't have just chaos, you can't have just order. You have to learn how to navigate the chaos. And I am living in my own experience of that. It's been a fun year so far. What I've learned is my potential, my capabilities. Every day I'm getting better and better at narrowing, if that's even a word, the windows down in procrastination to almost the T. I would like to say 1 hour a day at most where I'm not being productive now. And that's a great feeling. Like, that's awesome. Screen time's obviously still 6 hours a day, but that's because I'm listening to stuff while I'm working or I'm replying to messages and stuff. I'm not too concerned anymore about what I would consider to be procrastinating in terms of screen time. Procrastinating is like, if I'm not editing a video, I'm recording. If I'm not recording, I'm doing YouTube descriptions. If I'm not doing that, I'm spending time with my missus. I'm spending time with her kid. I'm spending time with my family. I'm spending time at work. I'm spending time reflecting. I'm spending time training, exercising. And I've really started to take what other people's advice has been in, which was mind, body, and spirit. I haven't been doing that. I've always known I've been giving up on body for a while, letting mind and spirit kind of grow. Now I'm going way more back into the side of trying to look after my body, and it really is the root foundation for everything else. If you are taking your nutrition seriously, if you're taking training, yes, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there. But just doing things like taking vitamins and drinking enough water and cutting out sugar and not drinking any alcohol, not doing any drugs, like all these things are really starting to improve my life in such an amazing way. And it doesn't even matter to me if anyone else can see it or hear it or can tell me they've noticed it. It's all me. It's all in my head. And I never need to get the reassurance from anyone else because I feel so good all the time, you know. Yeah. I feel well rested. And it's because I'm really trying to utilize on mind, body, and spirit, all three of those things. And if your body isn't good, your brain's not going to function as properly. If your brain's not functioning properly, how can you have a spiritual connection? You know, I think the foundation for everything will probably come down to body.
So you figured out the balance. You've also been investing in all the parts that are important. You're not wasting. I don't think you're wasting your time. Everything you said, sounds like you're investing into productive areas.
Yeah.
So what I think people at home, as if you want to do homework or whatever, mind, body, spirit, create like a mind map. At least have like 3 things that at least target each one. Make sure you invest in relationships, family, work, and then yourself as well. So obviously your mind, body, spirit. I'm going to go home and do it right now.
Yeah.
Right after this, I'm going home, create a mind map on my board, and I'm going to be like, what hobbies or things do I do that allow me to invest into this area? And like you said, you've been growing a shit ton. So that's what I want to start to do in my own personal development journey. I need to start figuring out what physically I can do. I have my soccer and I have obviously work. I'm on my feet all the time. So that's exercise. For spirit, I need to figure that out. It used to be church and I go once in a while because obviously life is hectic. It's full of, challenges and problems. But I find when I go to church, it's like a way to just find this peace. You just get this peace inside, and it's a good way to just feel like, life is hectic, but going to church allows you to have more clarity.
Yeah.
It allows you to find this inner peace, and when I come out of it, I feel refreshed and I'm ready to go again.
It's also the community aspect of church that's what I've noticed. I should go more. I don't go for the religious belief anymore, which I used to. I go now for the shared collective consciousness and community aspect of everyone being in there with a belief in a higher power, no matter what that higher power is, and a mindset to always be the best version of themselves, to be like Christ. That's why I go to a Hillsong or any other Christian church or Catholic church or whatever, because be like Christ is another way of saying chase that mastery, be perfection, be the man. You'll never be able to, but it's the pursuit in which you're trying to be like is what I find beneficial when I go to a place like church, because everyone there is just being the best version of themselves possible. They're being as kind as possible. They're being as nice, and everyone does have a belief in a higher power. And I know that not everyone has to believe in every single part of the Bible in the exact same way. As we mentioned before with the steganography, it's there for people's interpretation,
Exactly.
It's awesome.
That's the part that I feel like that's where I get my peace from. Exactly what you said. I don't technically go for just the spiritual. I go for the people, because I find that church people are completely different to any other community. I find that everyone has pure intentions and just wants to build each other up and be as positive as possible. So it's like a good refresher to be surrounded by people that only want to be supportive and loving.
Yeah.
And that allows me to just have this inner peace. And it's like the world isn't crumbling around me. I have someone looking over me. I feel protected, and I've got all these lovely people around me that are supporting me.
Yeah, it's mad, dude. I've said it before, and I'll say it in every podcast I can in the future. Life will give you whatever you want. It just won't give you what you want when you want it. And now I've learned it won't give you what you want, how you want it. And on top of that, you don't even know what you want.
That's good, bro.
I'm adding to it more and more the more I go. Like, I was saying last year and the beginning of this year, like first couple days, my goal for 2024 was to create a time schedule in order to create greatness in my own life. The only way for me to succeed and overcome obstacles and be a version of myself that I consider to be great is to time allocate everything into slots. This is the time in which I do this. This is the time. This is the limited time I have to do that. And that's what I thought I wanted. But what I actually wanted was to feel the progression to a highest, most expression. And I didn't need that. I just needed to cut out anything that wasn't beneficial, anything that wasn't a worthy investment, you know? So that's what I've kind of learned this year. I don't need to time allocate every detail of my life. I just need to reconsider everything I'm doing and see if it's worth doing or not. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, gang. Is that your last? Was that your last point?
Well, yeah, we've hit all my dot points so far. So obviously, throughout the next few months, I'm gonna keep listening to these podcasts, gaining wisdom, and hopefully there might be a third one. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I want to bring my mate on and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm keen for that.
Right now, I'm very content with what's happened, and I feel like I've said everything I need to say.
Yeah.
And obviously, the original reason I came on here was to create like a legacy. If I pass away, family, friends have something to watch, get to know me. Obviously, my kids can see what I was like when I was 20, and I feel like this is something I'm very proud of.
Can't believe you just said you're 20 again. That is insane that is insane that you're only 20, dude. That's crazy. Feels like I'm sitting down with a 50-year-old wise man sitting on a porch drinking coffee. It's crazy, dude. It's awesome. It's amazing, dude. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to achieve greatness in your life, dude. No doubt. I'm 100% certain that if you keep your same mindset, you will succeed and exceed any of your own expectations. It's awesome, bro. I think that life is going to be exciting for you. And I do believe that God rewards his favorites. And I mentioned that Tony Robertson quote before. I'm going to use it again. You are glass half full, you know. With that mindset, you'll continue to create a positive feedback loop, which is one of Jordan Peterson's rules in 12 Rules for Life. If you haven't read Jordan Peterson's book. As I said, dude, you should probably have your own podcast. You've got a million great ideas and points to talk about. The legacy that you spoke on is such a great characteristic. Can't wait to do the podcast with your mate because then I get to have you both on at the same time. So please, after this podcast, send as many details as you can about that. And yeah, if that's all you had written down, I think it's perfect. It's been a perfectly length episode.
Exactly. I really appreciate having me again.
Yeah,
Can't wait to do another one.
Gang, I can't wait to do another one either. For everyone listening, thank you for making it to the end of the episode. It's been an awesome time. Episode 80, 20 more episodes to go into episode 100. I think episode 100, I'm going to have to do something pretty big and spectacular for that. I didn't have an Egypt segment in this week just because it was the Swapcast, and also I didn't do it last week only because I was short for time. So I will try and do a pretty big and important Egypt segment coming up in the future. I'm actually doing my best to try and do a professional Egyptologist for a podcast episode. So hopefully we can kind of cram a few episodes into one episode with that Egypt segment. So as I say, for everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the episode. I'm very appreciative of it. For everyone listening, sending your messages, giving me the feedback, and until next time, that's it.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.